Most parents are doing it wrong, not out of negligence, not out of a lack of love, but because nobody told them the truth about what actually builds a baby's brain. We spend hundreds on toys. We download apps. We play Mozart through the crib speakers. And yet, child neuroscience is sitting right there, quietly telling us something completely different. Something that doesn't cost anything. Something that happens in the ordinary moments, the ones we almost always overlook. There is one habit, one simple daily habit, that researchers say physically shapes the structure of your baby's brain. Not metaphorically, literally. At the level of neurons and connections and the white matter pathways that determine how fast and how powerfully your child will think, feel, and communicate for the rest of their life. And most parents are doing it sometimes. When they feel like it, when they have the energy. What this means is, not consistently. And consistency is everything. Before we go further, write your baby's age in the comments. Because what I'm about to tell you hits differently depending on where your child is right now. 1. Talk to your baby. More than you think is necessary. Not at them, not over them. To them. Here is the habit. Narrate your day to your baby. While you're making tea, while you're folding laundry, while you're walking to the car, you say what you're doing. You describe what you see. You respond to their babble as if they said something real. Because to their brain they did. This feels silly. Most parents know this, and most parents still don't do it enough. Here's what this means at a biological level. Researchers at the University of East Anglia studied 163 children, recording every hour of language they received at home, over 6,200 hours of audio in total. Then they scanned the children's brains. What they found is difficult to overstate. The babies who heard more conversational speech directed at them had measurably more myelin in their brain's language regions. Myelin is the protective sheath that wraps around brain circuits. The more myelin, the faster and more efficiently those circuits fire. Your voice, literally, is insulating your baby's brain. A Stanford study went further. They scanned the brains of 5 to 8-month-old babies who cannot yet speak a single word, and found that the ones whose caregivers talked to them more had stronger activation in the regions responsible for language comprehension. Their brains were already organizing language, already building the architecture for communication, months before the first word ever came. And a University of Washington study tracked infants from 5 months old and found that the neural activity triggered by social conversation at that age predicted language development at 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30 months. One conversation, one moment of connection, echoing forward 2.5 years. What this means is, right now, today, this afternoon, every time you narrate a moment to your baby, every time you respond to their co-o as if it's a sentence, you are not just filling silence. You are laying cable in their brain, fiber by fiber, word by word. You don't need to be eloquent. You don't need to perform, just talk. Say, we're putting on your socks. This one first, now the other. That's it. That ordinary sentence is doing extraordinary things inside a brain that is absorbing everything. And if this is the first time you're hearing this, that's okay. Start right now. 2. Follow a predictable routine. Every single day here is something most parents don't know. Your baby has a stress hormone. It's called cortisol, and when their world feels unpredictable, when they don't know what's coming next, when the schedule is chaotic, when the responses they expect don't arrive, cortisol rises in their brain. This is not remembered, but felt. Deeply, biologically felt. Research is very clear on this. From birth to age 3, elevated cortisol doesn't just cause discomfort. It directly impacts the developing brain. A brain bathed in stress hormone during these early years builds differently. It wires itself for threat, for anxiety, for hypervigilance. And those patterns, once laid down, are not easily undone. But here is the other side of that finding. Researchers at Northeastern University, studying caregiver predictability in infants aged 3 to 6 months, found that when caregivers are consistent, when babies can anticipate what comes next, when the world operates on a pattern they recognize, their brains develop more robustly. The brain, in a predictable environment, doesn't need to stay on guard. It can grow. What this means is simple but profound. A routine is not structure for structure's sake. Bath, then feeding, then song, then sleep. This sequence, repeated day after day, is communicating something to your baby's nervous system that no toy ever can. You are safe. You know what is coming. The world is not a threat. Securely attached infants, the ones with consistent responsive caregivers, show measurably lower cortisol reactivity under stress. They have a buffer, a biological buffer, built not from medication or intervention, but from predictability, from a parent who showed up the same way, day after day. Right now, your routine, however imperfect, is your baby's entire universe of expectation. Make it one they can trust. 3. Sing to them, even if you think you can't sing. This is the one most parents underestimate, and the science behind it is genuinely astonishing. When you sing to your baby, not a recording, not a playlist, something happens in their brain that is different from any other auditory experience. Researchers studying preterm infants in neonatal intensive care units found that parental singing produced larger neural responses in the auditory cortex than almost any other stimulus. The brain lit up differently, more completely. UNICEF's research compilation on early childhood development puts it this way: singing uses pitch, tempo, rhythm, and melody simultaneously, which means multiple areas of your baby's brain activate at once. It is one of the only experiences in early life that fires both hemispheres of the brain at the same time, strengthening the bridge between them, which allows information to travel faster and through more routes as your child grows. And there is something else, something that goes beyond neuroscience into something harder to measure. When you sing a lullaby to your baby, when your voice carries the melody and your baby stares up at you, what they are receiving is not just auditory stimulation. They are receiving you, your heartbeat, your warmth, your smell, your face. This is not remembered but felt. Long before memory forms, the brain stores the emotional tone of experience. Research from the early brain development field shows that babies begin using the hippocampus, the brain's memory center, as early as 3 months old. The emotional texture of those early months is being registered, even when it cannot yet be consciously recalled. What this means is, when you sing to your baby, you are building their brain and filling their nervous system with something it will draw from for the rest of their life. The felt sense of being loved, of being safe, of being the kind of person who is sung to. That is real. That is not metaphor. That is neuroscience. 4. Take them outside. Not for long, just often. Here is a question. When did your baby last feel wind on their face? Not a fan, not air conditioning, actual wind. The real, unpredictable, textured air of the outside world. There is growing research on what nature does to the infant brain. Multiple studies now link regular outdoor exposure in young children to lower cortisol levels, better sleep, improved attention, and what researchers describe as healthier diurnal cortisol rhythms, meaning the brain's stress hormone cycle runs in a more natural, regulated pattern when the body spends time in natural environments regularly. Nature stimulates the senses in ways that are literally impossible to replicate indoors. Leaves move in unpredictable patterns. Light shifts. Sounds come from different directions. The ground feels different under the stroller wheels. For a baby whose entire job right now is to build a model of the world from sensory input, this variety is not entertainment. It is nutrition. And here is the quiet part of this finding. Time outdoors lowers cortisol in babies, the same stress hormone that, when chronically elevated, interferes with healthy brain development. The outside world doesn't just stimulate the brain. It calms it. It regulates it. It gives the nervous system a chance to reset. You don't need a park. You don't need an outing. 10 minutes on a balcony. A walk around the block. Sitting on the grass in the garden. Right now, this week, just take them outside. Not with a purpose. Just to be there. What this means is, you are not just getting fresh air. You are lowering their cortisol, stimulating their senses, and giving their brain the kind of multi-channel input that no screen or toy can replicate. The best sensory toy ever made is a tree in a breeze. 5. Respond when they call. Every single time. This is the hardest one. Because you are tired. Because you've already been called 15 times today. Because sometimes you just need a minute. This is also the most important one. When your baby reaches for you, when they cry, when they babble and look at you, when they hold out their arms, and you respond, something happens in their brain at a cellular level. Harvard's Center on the Developing Child calls it serve and return. Your baby serves, a sound, a look, a gesture. You return, a response, a word, a touch. And in that exchange, neural connections are formed. Not sometimes, every time. Research from Northeastern University found that caregivers who are more predictably responsive, not perfect, but consistent, produce measurably different outcomes in infant brain plasticity. The brain literally grows differently in response to reliable human connection. It wires for security, for confidence, for the belief, embedded below conscious thought, that the world responds to me, that I matter, that when I reach out, someone reaches back. This is what builds emotional intelligence. This is what builds resilience. Not a lesson, not a workshop, a parent who responded. And here is the deepest truth in all of this research. What your baby is learning in these early months is not words or colors or shapes. They are learning the most foundational thing a human brain ever learns. They are learning whether the world is safe, whether people can be trusted, whether they are worth responding to. You are the answer to that question. Every time you respond, you say yes. You are worth it. The world will show up for you. That answer lives in them for life. Not remembered, but felt. In every relationship they ever have. In every risk they ever take. In every moment they believe, or don't believe, that they deserve to be loved. Right now, your response is not just comfort. It is architecture. It is the foundation of who they will become. The habit isn't one thing. It is all of these things, woven into ordinary moments. Talking during the morning feed. The same bath routine every night. A song before sleep. 10 minutes outside. Turning toward them when they reach. None of this is dramatic. None of it makes for a good photo. But in the quiet, invisible world of your baby's developing brain, it is everything. Write your baby's name in the comments. Because you are already doing more than you think. And now you know why it matters.